The missing hours in Linda Brown's case no one can explain. On January 3, 2026, Linda Brown, a respected Chicago public schools special education teacher, left her home for what was supposed to be a routine appointment. She never arrived. By the end of the day, her phone had gone silent. Her schedule was broken, and a woman known for reliability and structure had vanished without explanation. More than a week later, her body would be recovered from Lake Michigan. Tonight, this report does not speculate. It does not assign motive. It does not go beyond what authorities have confirmed. Instead, we reconstruct the verified timeline of Linda Brown's disappearance and death, and examine the critical gap in time that remains unexplained. This is a case that raises questions not through what is alleged, but through what is absent. And it is defined not by conspiracy or suspicion, but by silence, a stretch of hours for which no public account exists. What follows is a careful examination of the facts as they have been confirmed, the timeline as it has been documented, and the gap that continues to trouble those who knew Linda Brown and those who have followed her case. Linda Brown was 53 years old and worked as a special education teacher with Chicago Public Schools. For those unfamiliar with the demands of this profession, it is not simply about teaching. It is about connection, adaptation, and an extraordinary level of patience. Special education teachers work with students who face cognitive, emotional, physical, or behavioral challenges. The role requires structure, consistency, and an ability to create safe, predictable environments where learning can occur. It is work that cannot be done carelessly or sporadically. It demands presence, both physical and emotional. Colleagues describe Linda Brown as dependable, calm, and deeply committed to her students. She was the kind of educator who showed up, who followed through, who could be counted on. In a profession where burnout is common and turnover is high, she had built a reputation for steadiness. Outside of work, her life followed a predictable rhythm. Appointments were kept. Schedules mattered. Friends and family knew her as someone who communicated clearly, who let people know where she was going and when she would return. She was not known to disappear or break routine without reason. This is not incidental detail. It is foundational context. Because what happened next stands in sharp contrast to the life she lived and makes her sudden disappearance all the more alarming. January 3, 2026, began like any other day in Linda Brown's life. She woke in her home in Bronzeville, a historic neighborhood on Chicago's South Side known for its cultural significance and tight-knit community. It was a Friday, a typical weekday for most, but for Linda, it was a day with a personal appointment on the calendar. She had scheduled a session at an acupuncture clinic in Wicker Park, a neighborhood on the city's northwest side. It was not an unusual destination for her. She had been to the clinic before. The route was familiar. The appointment was routine. She left her home with her essentials, her phone, her purse, and her car keys. There were no reported signs of distress or unusual behavior. No arguments, no concerning phone calls, no indication that anything was wrong. To anyone who saw her that morning, she was simply a woman running an errand, a person going about her day. It was a normal trip across the city, one that should have taken less than 30 minutes, one that should have ended with her walking into a clinic, checking in at the front desk, and settling into a treatment room. But Linda never arrived. When Linda Brown did not show up for her appointment, the clinic noted her absence. In many cases, a missed appointment is simply a forgotten date or a miscommunication. But as the day wore on, it became clear this was something else. Calls went unanswered. Messages received no reply. Her phone, which she typically kept charged and accessible, went silent. By the afternoon, concern was mounting. Family members tried to reach her. Friends checked in. No one could make contact. As the hours passed, concern turned to alarm. This was not like Linda. She did not miss appointments. She did not ignore calls. She did not leave people wondering. By the end of the day, her husband knew something was wrong. He contacted the Chicago Police Department and officially reported her missing. The initial response followed standard protocol. Officers documented the report, gathered details about Linda's appearance, her vehicle, her last known whereabouts, and her intended destination. They began the process of retracing her movements, reviewing traffic patterns, and reaching out to possible witnesses. What they found would shift the investigation's focus entirely. Hours after she failed to arrive at her appointment, Linda Brown's car, a blue Honda Civic, was located parked near Lake Michigan. The discovery was both a breakthrough and a deepening mystery. The car was found in a public area near the lakefront, a location frequented by joggers, cyclists, and residents walking their dogs. It was not hidden. It was not obscured. It sat in plain view, legally parked. There were no signs of damage, no shattered windows, no dents or scrapes suggesting a collision or forced entry. The doors were locked. The interior appeared undisturbed. Everything about the vehicle suggested it had been parked deliberately, calmly by someone who intended to leave it there. But the location raised immediate concern. Linda's intended destination was Wicker Park, miles away on the other side of the city. There was no logical reason for her car to be near Lake Michigan. It was not on the way. It was not a detour. It was an entirely different direction. The discovery of the vehicle marked a turning point in the investigation. What had begun as a missing person case, someone who failed to arrive at an appointment, was now something more complex. Her car had been found, but she had not. And the location of that car offered no explanation, only more questions. In a city like Chicago, surveillance cameras are ubiquitous. They line streets, monitor intersections, overlook parks, and cover public spaces. In many investigations, they provide clarity, a visual record that confirms or refutes witness accounts, establishes timelines, and answers questions. In Linda Brown's case, nearby surveillance cameras provided the last confirmed visual record of her. The footage shows her exiting her vehicle and walking alone along a pedestrian path near the lakefront. She is dressed casually. She moves at a normal pace. She appears composed, calm, not hurried, not distressed. She is not running. No one is visibly following her. No one approaches her on camera. She is simply walking. To anyone watching the footage without context, it would appear unremarkable. A person taking a walk near the water on a January afternoon. But context changes everything. This was not a planned walk. This was not her destination. And within hours, she would be gone. The footage is limited in what it can show. Cameras have fixed angles, finite ranges. They capture only what falls within their view. Once Linda Brown walked beyond the reach of those cameras, the public record goes quiet. This moment becomes the anchor point of the case, the last confirmed sighting before a stretch of time no one has publicly explained. It is the final frame before the gap. Between that surveillance footage and the recovery of her body, there's a gap. It is not a gap of minutes. It is not a brief, uncertain window. It is hours, a significant, sustained period of time for which no public information exists. No confirmed phone activity, no verified sightings, no witness accounts released to the public, no additional surveillance footage, no credit card transactions, no digital trail. Authorities have confirmed the existence of this gap, but not its contents. In investigative terms, gaps like this are not unusual. Not every moment is documented. Not every movement is seen. Not every decision is recorded. But in a case like this, where the outcome is known and tragic, the gap takes on weight. It represents the space between the last time Linda Brown was seen and the place where she was found. It holds the answers to questions that family, friends, and the public cannot stop asking. Where did she go after the cameras lost sight of her? Did she encounter anyone? What led her from that pedestrian path to the water? Was she alone the entire time? Did something happen that changed her course? These are not rhetorical questions. They are the questions at the heart of the case, and as of now, they remain unanswered. As the days passed without any sign of Linda Brown, the search intensified. Chicago police expanded their efforts along the lakefront. Investigators canvassed the area where her car had been found, interviewed potential witnesses, and reviewed additional footage from nearby locations. The Marine unit was deployed to search harbors and shoreline areas. Divers entered the water. Boats combed the surface. The search was methodical, exhaustive, and somber. Beyond official efforts, the community responded. Volunteers distributed flyers. Linda's photo was shared thousands of times across social media platforms. Local news outlets covered the case. Friends organized search parties and walked the lakefront paths, hoping to find something, anything, that might explain where she had gone. Each day without answers deepened the sense of concern and uncertainty. Missing person cases often follow one of two paths: resolution within the first 48 hours, or prolonged searches that stretch into weeks, months, or longer. For Linda Brown's family, each passing day was another day of not knowing. Then, on January 12, 2026, 9 days after she disappeared, the search came to an end. Linda Brown's body was recovered from Lake Michigan near 31st Street Harbor. Authorities confirmed her identity through established protocols. Her family was notified. The search that had consumed more than a week of effort, hope, and dread had reached its conclusion. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office conducted an examination and ruled her death a drowning. Officials stated there was no indication of third-party involvement, a finding that, in investigative language, means no evidence of foul play, no signs of assault, no forensic markers suggesting another person caused her death. This ruling answered one question, the cause of death, but it did not answer the larger, more haunting questions about how the day unfolded. It confirmed where she was found. It did not explain how she got there. It documented the medical reality of her death. It did not reconstruct the missing hours. In the days and weeks following the recovery, official statements from the Chicago Police Department remained careful and restrained. Investigators confirmed the known timeline, the morning departure from her home, the missed appointment, the discovery of her vehicle near the lakefront, the surveillance footage showing her walking alone, and the recovery of her body from Lake Michigan. They emphasized verified facts and avoided speculation. They did not publicly detail every step between Linda Brown's last sighting and her recovery. This level of discretion is not uncommon in investigations. Law enforcement agencies often withhold specific details to protect the integrity of their work, to respect the privacy of families, or because certain information remains under review. But for those following the case, for Linda's family, her friends, her colleagues, and members of the public who were moved by her story, the lack of detail leaves questions unanswered. Not accusations, not conspiracy theories, just unanswered questions. Linda Brown lived a life defined by routine, structure, and care for others. She showed up for her students, she kept her appointments, she stayed in touch with the people who mattered to her. Her life was not without complexity, no life is, but it was grounded in predictability and responsibility. On January 3, 2026, that routine broke, and the reason remains partly unknown. We know she left home that morning. We know her destination. We know she never arrived. We know where her car was found. We know the last moment she was seen on camera, walking calmly near the water. And we know where her body was recovered 9 days later. But the hours in between, the decisions, the movements, the moments that bridge the known points, remain outside the public record. This case is not defined by what is assumed, but by what cannot be fully reconstructed. It is a reminder that even in an age of cameras, data, and constant connection, some moments pass unseen, some hours leave no trace. For Linda Brown's family, the unanswered questions are not abstract. They are personal, painful, and permanent. For investigators, the case may be closed. The cause of death has been determined. The evidence has been reviewed. The official conclusion has been reached. But for those who knew her, and for those who have followed her story, the missing hours remain. They are not filled with speculation or suspicion. They are simply unfilled. A gap in time that no statement, no ruling, and no investigation has explained. And sometimes the most haunting part of a story is not what we know, but the hours no one can explain.